I think like a roster of characters, at least like I'm gonna say like 15 to 20 characters, I think is a decent starting roster for a full price game. I think having let's see, having a decent amount of stages, I think. Also having a story mode, is something that I think is so important to have in fighting games for a full price fighting game. Having a like legit story mode, not necessarily like a thing for like everybody having their own like branching story, but just having like a a static story for everybody, kind of like we would see like in Soul Calibur or something like that. Then in addition to that, having separate endings for characters. I think like even if you don't have like a like crazy story progression in each character thing. Like it's just an arcade mode where you just have a character just go fight like 8 or 9 people. You have like at like the fourth or fifth character, you have their destined battle, like like in Soul Calibur or something. You have one of those fights. They talk for a little bit. Yeah, or in you remember in Alpha when Street Fighter Alpha 3 when you have like Gen and Akuma and they like both try to attack each other and they can't seem to hit each other, like that kind of thing. Then of course, you have an ending, you have like maybe like a 30-second ending or something like that. Something being like, oh my gosh, you made it to the end. This is what happens in this person's particular ending of the tournament, something like that. Also, music, having like access to a jukebox and stuff like that. I feel like that's something that should be in full price fighting games now. Jukeboxes, especially with what they did in Street Fighter 6. I feel like that should be the norm now, being able to change the tracks. I mean, they were doing that in like Tekken and stuff like that too, but it's been done before. But now I feel like now that should be like a standard thing, since like it's been done in like the past few Tekkens. They did in Street Fighter 6, so there's really no excuse, at least in my mind, going forward. And I feel like the most important thing is transparency. I feel like if I'm paying a full price game, the most important thing is like I want some transparency about what's going on with the game and what your roadmap looks like, what your expectations are for the game. What your
Preach.
what exact where are we going? Where are we going with this? Like what do you expect? What do you expect the game to look like 1, 2, 3 years from now? Do you even have a plan for what it's supposed to look like in the future, and stuff like that. I feel like that's the most important thing, actually. Even if you don't have some of the other stuff, if you have transparency and you have like people like saying, hey, what exactly are we doing here? What's MK1 gonna look like 2 years from now, and you're kind of hiding the ball. I don't think that's cool. Not for like Mr. Game and Lift paying like $100 plus for the game. That's not fair. You guys need to be upfront with where you feel like you're going with this game. So yeah, that's what I think like I would like to see for a full price game.
We've seen some questionable practices in the past. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Marvel 3. So it's got to have some modes. I would like to have a story mode, somewhat at least giving me enough story, figuring out like what the characters are, what's going on. I need arcade mode. You can you could do time attack, survival. I remember back in the day, like Tekken and stuff had all these modes. Street Fighter Alpha 3. You had all these different modes. It's like I think we've gotten away from that. It's like just give me some modes. Like give me some fun modes, something that's like I don't know, a 2v2 mode or a brawl mode or something like that. Even like Cross Tekken had that mode, I think it was called Brawl mode, where you could like 4 people could play simultaneously on the screen. That's super fun, especially for a tag game like that. I need some good music.
Dynamic battle.
Yeah, exactly. I need some good music. I like to have some jams with my game, some good art, good menus. I want the game to look like it took like y'all put some care into it. There's some games come out nowadays on the Night in Birth with this new one. The menus look like just like the most like what happened? Like y'all just put black look gray squares. Like there's no person that I remember when I first bought on the night when OG on the night the menus and stuff was just like especially the character select screen, and you get the new one. It's like, what is this? Y'all, how y'all go from this Grand Blue Rising? Like, why y'all character select screen look so basic? Like what is this? Like, it look like a filler, a placeholder. So I like to have some good visuals, bosses, unlockables. Like, can I get some unlockables? Colors? Can we get like customization, secret bosses. Like, can we stop like being so caught up in DLC that just give us some unlockables in the game that you pay for? It's like everything got to be characters got to pay for it. Let me unlock one or two characters. Let me fight a boss. Like Street Fighter 4, you had to fight Akuma to unlock Akuma. You had to fight Goken, unlock Goken. Like that stuff was dope, and it just like it brings more to the game. It's like, man, fighting these dope characters, it might be a hard boss. Man, I finally fought that boss and beat him. Now I can play this character. I think we need to do more stuff like that. Just everything shouldn't just be DLC. Give me some good music, like E said, maybe a jukebox mode where I can choose what music I want to play. Street Fighter 6 has done that now. Like I really like what Street Fighter 6 has done when you can like choose music for pretty much everything. Like you can put Cammy's theme to play while you're playing Ken or something like that. You can play whatever music you want to play while you're playing online. And speaking of online, good online. If you're gonna put online in the game, make sure it's solid. Because at the very least, if I'm just a competitive player, I at least need for that to be a functioning function of the game, that the online is working properly. So if I'm paying full price for fighting game, those are the things that I think they got to be in the game.
Yeah, I think fighting games have kind of gotten away from what made us love them back in the day. The secret things, the things that you felt like they took a lot of care into. You felt like these people actually wanted this game to succeed. You could tell it was made by people who probably love fighting games their whole life and just really wanted to be a part of this and do this and stuff like that. But you guys have named some of the stuff that I feel. One, I had putting your best foot forward. Like when the game releases, like none of this mess of where it's just like release it and we'll fix it later. No, like
Yeah.
you because it's like Street Fighter 5. No matter what Street Fighter 5 got at the end of its life, we always go remember when it first came out, it was some people thought it was hot garbage. A character roster, like he said, a decent sized character roster. The other thing that he said that's super important, give us a plan. Like, what can we look forward to? Like, what expectations do we have? If something is bad, when you release it, like let us know that you're gonna fix it, that's not what you want. Like DNF Duel came out, and just how like they just didn't let us know what you was gonna do. Like, look, with the game fun, we want to play it, but we ain't putting up with all this stuff now. What you gonna do? And then next thing you know, you hear from 3 months later, it's like, no, basically everybody done with it now. I wasn't finna keep playing that. Like, so like what so like Devin said, rollback basically now. If you don't have good online, your game is dead on arrival. What was that anime fighter that came out like during the pandemic that was like they kept promoting and promoting. They was doing a lot of promotion, but you let us know it was delay best and code. We basically just stop fight. We just stopped caring.
Phantom Breaker.
Ramblin'
Yeah,
Fantasy Versus.
Phantom Breaker. Like we just stopped caring. Like as soon as you said delay base, it's like they was trying to hide it too for a minute. Once you said that, it was just like, all right, next thing. A thorough tutorial. I feel like if y'all go really want these newcomers to play your game, why you ain't training them? Like, why you just it's no longer we can have just throw you in the tutorial mode and just press some buttons and figure it out. No, you need to be training these people. Them's fighting hers is a great example. And then you have, I know a lot of times, like, and I feel like E said, this should be standard, but fighting EX layer has made me feel like I need to say this. Like, just don't do stuff that you just know, look, this ain't flying, Nowadays, like when it comes to like online and stuff, do I really need to tell you you need to have decent lobbies? But it feels like we got to tell you that because you got games releasing it now who just ain't doing it. A lot of people now they feel like I like in between my matches and stuff like that. If I'm online, there should be like a training mode. That should just be standard now. I just feel like it just should be something that every fighting game has. So some stuff is just look. We shouldn't have to tell you this. We shouldn't have to tell you this. So those are my things running through that list of stuff that I feel like should come with a full price fighting game. But heavy on what Devin said, like just we getting further and further away from like what we knew and loved about fighting games. Like Come on now. It seemed like we say what you want about MK, but Ed Boon is somebody who really cares about like having hidden Easter egg stuff in his games, like really taking like having stuff in his game that makes it interesting, stuff like that. He's still keeping that going. So